Hey guys, welcome to the Killian Family Homestead. Gotta love those Saturdays, get your mind off of work. Wanted to give you a quick update. Watch these fish as they start swimming in a circle. I love them. They're growing well. The pH is staying right around 7.0. I do have to do, about 100 gallons worth of water change every weekend is what I'm doing right now. And it's pretty easy. I utilize this to get the solids out, then I turn on these side valves to let the good water, the bad water flow into the garden, which ends up being good fertilizer for the garden, if you know what I mean. Can't remember how old they are, but they're growing well. Some of them are a good, cool 2.5 inches long already, which is awesome. Here's the little, see if I can get it to, these guys are going well too. Who knows how many of those I have in here. Finally got the pipe to go down to the bottom, and it's now gotten rid of all the solids down there. Or not all, but almost all. That's just the recent feeding this morning. I wish that they were efficient enough to eat all of it before they fall to the ground, but that's just the anal retentive side of me. Doesn't like to see messes. So there's a couple things we're going to do today. We are going to take this guy, dispatch him, and eat him. Alright? We're graduating these guys to the micro pellets. And these guys continue to be on the micro pellets, but let me explain to you my feed graduation. So when they're born, when they're hatched, the fry get this powder, and they're fed it about 7 times a day. Okay? It's better, in my opinion, to give them more than less. Okay, more than they need than less. From the moment they're hatched until they're about 3.5 weeks old, I feed them this. These little micro pellets. Let's see if I can open the lid so you can see it better. This is the next stage. These right here, when they're 3.5, 4 weeks old or so, I graduate them to these. And my newest hatchlings, they are going to be graduated to that here pretty soon. Then from 3.5, 4 weeks until 4 inches, they take that. Once they hit 4 inches to about 6 inches, they're going to take this right here. This is kind of an intermediate stage, because once they hit about 5, 6 inches, they can actually do okay on these. But it's just from a comfort standpoint, give them something a little bit smaller to eat. Then from 6 inches on, the feeder stage, so to speak, or fed stage, they're going to go all the way into these ones, and that's the final piece. Let me show you how I feed the big ones. Unfortunately, these auto feeders right there, they can get stuck. These bigger pellets, you see that? You know, a few will fall out, but when you get 1 or 2 stuck, it obviously impedes the progress. These bigger ones are a little shy, and so let me show you. I just take twice a day, handful, hit it, and there they go. They come up casually and go grab it. You see that really pink one? I think that he's beautiful. So all these 3 right here were obviously the breeder tank that hatched these babies. Now, as you can probably see, I'm getting way more fish than I know what to do with. So we're gonna just go until these guys are ready to eat, and obviously, like I said, we're gonna dispatch that guy and get him ready for filleting. I'm gonna show you that right now. Last thing I want to show you is I've got some seedlings. This is just different spinaches and arugula and lettuce and stuff like that. Just put into it just to see in this cooler temperature as we are now in September, or close to September. This one, obviously, with the sunlight right here by the window, is going to probably grow faster. This is more of an experiment than anything. Like I said before, this is an aquaponic system by technicality, but it's more of a fish farm in my mind, and will eventually get into more of the aquaponics thing as the infrastructure of this setup increases and what have you. My biggest worry, of course, is making sure that the water temperature stays in that 75 plus range. Right now it's at 80, And with this volume of water, fortunately the fluctuations of water temperature won't be so severe. But when it does get into the negatives in Washington State at night, well, we're going to have to figure something out. Which, what I'm probably going to do to try is I'm going to buy another one of these. So far, this Phoenix HC810M digital heater temperature control, I like it. I think it's pretty cool. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to, instead of putting it in this tank, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one in here and one in there. And hopefully the water retention is just enough where it will heat the water, flow into here. I'm going to put some sort of covering to hopefully insulate it a little better. They're off the ground, which is nice. These two are not, which is a bummer. But hopefully the water flows into that, gets in there, pumps it out fast enough. Which if you think about it, that's 200 gallons, 100, 200 gallons. And these, they're 1,200 gallons per hour. And so, I think we're moving the water fast enough where this isn't going to hypercool. The ground is not going to hypercool the water. And then it's going to come into there, and the twin 800 watt heaters will do the trick. Okay, so, and I've shown you that quick update. Let's now go shift into butchering of the fish. The best way to see if they're ready for this smaller or bigger food, the intermediate stage, is just toss them in and see if they eat it. Just like that. I can tell just looking at the fish that they'd be better served with the micro pellets for a little while. A little while longer, guys. Keep growing. Okay, first thing I do is I get a cooler, clean it out, fill it up with water about 2/3 of the way. Okay, don't do this. I don't have any ice in this entire house. Man, oh man, that's just unfortunate luck. Okay, I've grabbed some frozen peas and frozen vegetables and also some frozen peaches that we just did this year. I stuck it in here. My aim is to try to get the temperature of this water to as close as 50 or below as possible. Okay? So I'm going to close it up and let it do its trick. Right now this water temperature is 69.3 degrees, 69.2. I need it to fall quite a ways, so hopefully those frozen vegetables and fruits can do the trick. Again, typically just go buy or use ice that you have in your house. For some reason we're totally out. While we wait for that to cool off, my plan is to divide these fish even further. As you can see, I have another 100 gallons here to put some fish into. And as these fish get bigger and bigger, the intention was never to have 75 fish grow out in a 100-gallon deal. That would have been an ill-educated move. We don't want to be doing that. That'd be too many fish in one spot. So, and eventually I'd like to get these guys out of here as well and really end up just having all 800 gallons of the grow out tanks to be occupied by just my fish that came from this round right here. These fish right here I'm going to have to expand to accommodate there, so look forward to future videos to show the expansion. The expansion is going to include this, but might even include a couple of other totes. All the benefits that I've been talking about of having a circular grow out tank is not forgotten by. It's just that these totes are just so readily on hand. There's so many of them being just thrown away. I like to repurpose stuff, and so anyways, this guy's gonna be dinner. 67, 63, getting there. Okay, 59 degrees on the dock. It's going to continue to go down. So now I'm going to put the fish in there, and it's slowly going to fall asleep in essence. It's, in my opinion, the most humane way to put them out and dispatch them in preparation for cutting up and what have you, or filleting, so to speak. So let's go ahead and catch them and put them in. Okay, him being such a big guy, it's not that difficult to There we go. Okay. Come right here, buddy. 58 degrees right now. Move the stuff out of the way. Stick him in there. Oops. Okay. So he's just going to get under there. Another nice purpose of this, show this, is that it's going to actually create a barrier so he can't jump out. But give it a second and he will slowly slip away, and then he'll be prepared to fillet. Okay, 52 degrees, and it stayed at 52.4 degrees for a little while now, so maybe we reached the limit of the ice. Very cold, and this fish is starting to give up the ghost a little bit. The great thing about this is that it just slowly slips them away. They slowly fall asleep, which is a humane thing. No need to club them in the head when they're your own fish. Okay, I now have 65 in this one. This is where the large male was housed. A little experimentation. I'm going to see how long it takes with all the fish moving around, for all the solids to come up and get sucked up, the solids lifting out. That'll be an interesting thing to observe. Someday we'll divide it even further. I'm trying to get as close to 45 or so in a tank like this, and nothing more than that. So we'll soon be able to divide them out. Of course, like I said before, we're going to have to figure something to do with all those extra babies that we have. This one now has 65, and all the rest have 65. So great. Excellent. It's pretty easy to do. I just take the standpipe off. I grab the end cap and I put it on here to make sure that none of the babies get sucked up this pipe. Then when I replace it, I simply put this back on, or put the cap back on the end and put it back on, and it helps me do some maintenance on each tank individually. Okay, here's the fish. I don't exactly know how old this is, but it is 1 pound and 8 ounces. And so I want to make a reference of that simply because when I grow out my own fish from, fingerling all the way to harvest size, I want to know how big to let them get before I harvest it. So 1.5 pounds exactly, and now let's fillet it up. Okay guys, I spared you all the filleting of the fish and taking the meat off, mainly because I'm not very good at it and it's definitely not an instructional video. But here's the meat that we got off of that 1 pound 8 ounce tilapia. I believe it was a white tilapia, and there it is right there. Start to get all the bones out, fillet it, go down, fillet one side, come across and flop it over, and then take the skin off is all I did there. And if you multiply this times, 10 or 15 at a time, that makes quite a bit of fish. And that's the purpose of our fish farm. And the rest of the fish goes into the garden compost, which is the next project I'm going to do, guys. This is going to turn into about 3 big compost piles. Thanks, take care.